After the epic conclusion of Vox Machina Season 3, I thought to myself, how in the world are they going to top that? Well, we are back with Season 4, and it's time to see if that's even possible. Welcome back, everyone. We are here today to talk about Vox Machina Season 4. That's right. We have more animated Critical Role on our hands, and I am so excited to be talking about it. I actually thought this was going to be coming out next week, but I'm glad that we're getting it earlier than I thought because I have been craving more Critical Role since the end of the Mighty Nine Season 1. And I even went back and started watching the Mighty Nine actual play. So it's been a journey for me. It's been a fun, deeper dive into Critical Role. And I've been watching Vox Machina since Season 1 and I've loved it. So this is a show that I'm very excited to get into with you. But before we talk about these 3 episodes and my thoughts on all of that, I need to know from you, in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, what is the scariest thing you've ever encountered? Because these last few episodes had me shaking in my booties in terms of some of the stuff I was seeing. I was like, what is even going on? But either way, I'll say this. I am so excited to be back with Vox Machina Season 4. We are so back, baby, and I am just delighted to be jumping back in. One thing that I noticed with the start to this season, and that I've been noticing over time, and I love noticing it, is that our animation budget feels like it's growing, or we're just giving people more time. I don't know. There's just so much more detail, and it's not just in the action scenes, it's also in the expressiveness of the characters. So watching that animation evolve over time has been really neat, and I love the way that this starts too, with a little illustrated intro into the show. So if you are like me and it's been a minute and maybe you were distracted by some Mighty Nine stuff, so you want a refresher, one, there is a great recap up for you on the Amazon Prime Video YouTube channel that I watched. It's 27 minutes and it's really well done, so I would recommend that. But the other thing is the show actually does that for you. We have Grog kind of leading us through where we've been, where we're at right now, and where we left off really with the end of Season 3. And it's interesting actually because with the end of Season 3, I really felt like, how do you even continue this beyond that point? Season 3 felt that we had come to a place that would have been a natural conclusion for our group. I mean, they fought a ton of dragons. Where do you go from there? And everyone kind of split up. So I was wondering kind of what the next chapter would be. And this has been, I think, a really interesting start to what that chapter is. And I'm seeing now the potential for what this season can be. I mean, I watched the trailers and I thought it looked good, but once you start watching these episodes, man, I forgot how much this show hooks me, and it's just hooked me so well. I forget how much I love the show, and then it comes back, and then I go, man, Vox Machina really is one of the best animated series that we have right now. It's just that good. And I think I've also become more connected to Critical Role as well over time. I started out with Vox Machina, the animated series, and then Mighty Nine Season 1 happened. And after Mighty Nine Season 1 happened, I've heard so many good things about the actual play of Mighty Nine. And as someone that also does an RPG show once a week with some friends on another channel called Lies You'll Enjoy, where we play indie RPGs over there, I thought, I kind of want to watch Critical Role and see what it's about. I've never really watched a ton of actual plays. That's never been on my regular rotation. And I was surprised at how much I really love it. Like, Critical Role, they're just amazing. It's an amazing group of people who are so talented, great storytellers. And I have been obsessed with watching the actual play. I watch it in the mornings when I'm getting ready. It's become a comfort for me to watch. It's become a safe place for me. So I've been diving deep, and I think I've got a greater connection at this point to a lot of the cast, a lot of the players through the actual play and through the other characters in Mighty Nine. So I'm just way more invested than I've ever been going into Vox Machina Season 4, which is amazing. And I love that we're also getting 2 doses of Critical Role now simultaneously, because we have this overlap between Vox Machina, which I think is going to be ending soonish. I think maybe we have this season and one more coming up. It feels like we're nearing the end of our characters' journeys, at least. And then we also have Mighty Nine, which is just starting out. So we're going to have this cool little overlap for at least a little bit, which I think is exciting as someone who's just loving everything Critical Role at this moment in time. Also, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on Critical Role content, I talk about that here on this channel, and you can check out more of that via my playlist up here, which has everything, Mighty Nine discussions for the actual play, the show, other Vox Machina content, and I will hopefully be going through and doing reactions for season 4, and I want to go back and do reactions for the earlier seasons too, because I just missed this show so much. And when it comes to these specific episodes, I would like to say I am so happy for Keyleth finishing her Aramente. These characters have gotten to a point where they feel like they are god tier. And so getting to see them go off and have their little happy endings was really rewarding. But what I also love about this, because when you get characters to the level that I think our characters are at here, feels like they're quite high level, like we're beyond level 15 and we're in that extension period of going up to like level 20. So any challenge you throw at them, it's going to be easy for them to take on tough customers, tough villains, tough threats. So how do you make that story interesting for viewers and for your players at the table? And I think the best way that you can do that as a cast is to dive into the interpersonal journeys of these characters. So what happens when, you've saved the day and then you get to rest? And how does that affect our characters? How do they feel about that? Are they happy? Are they not satisfied? Why not? And so what I love about our start to season 4 is that it's not just about the threat of this death cult, which already is an insane threat at this point, I think we can say. But there is the added layer of the interpersonal journeys of what happens when everybody does get their happy ending, kind of, and what happens if that's maybe not enough for you? What more do you need? What does it mean when you finally get to rest? All you can think about is being back with your party and getting out there and adventuring. Maybe the happy ending for these characters isn't what they thought it was, and maybe it's them being together that's really all they want. And I love that for Vox Machina too, because they're such a team, you know what I mean? Like, they really do need one another, I think, and they are better together. And it's their closeness that really is their strength. It's their bond that is their strength, which I guess you could say of most Dungeons and Dragons parties, but I don't know. It feels different with Vox Machina. It really does feel like a family. I love seeing them come together. And I loved how in episode 3, we finally get that moment where most of them have come together. It feels so amazing to see after 2 episodes of seeing everyone doing their own stuff apart. And clearly a lot of them are missing each other. I will say we do also have a new character jumping in here that I wanted to talk about, and that is Tyrion Darrington, who is, if you are wondering, yes, voiced by Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady, I believe, also played him in the Vox Machina campaign, and I did not know this, but apparently Wayne Brady is a major nerd, so that all makes sense to me, and I love seeing him here. Man, he's amazing as Darrington, and I have to say, instantly fell in love with the character. I think Darrington and Dodie need to be protected at all costs. They're great, but I do wonder who another voice actor is going to be entering our cast is playing, and that is Andy Serkis is apparently going to be in season 4. I don't think I heard him in these first 3 episodes, and I haven't seen information on who he's playing officially released. I don't know if it was. I'm a little afraid to look into it because, too deep, because spoilers, but I'm very curious to see if I'll hear him and which character he will be in season 4. We just have such a great voice cast in general, and I love when anyone gets added in, because you know that they're probably going to be someone who's here to deliver an amazing performance, as everyone does. What can I say? Critical Role. It's a bunch of nerdy voice actors playing D&D, and man, when it comes to their call sheets, they know which voice actors to get to really heighten the story as it's retold through the animation. It's amazing. It's amazing. I honestly need to get into some Critical Role comics as well. I should read some of that and we should talk about that on the channel. That would be really fun. Let me know if that's something you'd be into. I only have one critique about these first 3 episodes, and that is, where is my boy Scanlan? I don't believe that he's dead. I do believe that he is just off with his daughter, doing his thing like we were led to believe he was going to be doing, but we haven't seen him. So I don't know where he is. And Grog does make that joke of like, I don't know, he could be dead. And I'm like, please no. Scanlan is my favorite, which maybe won't surprise anyone that's seen my Critical Role content, as I think Sam Riegel's one of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons players ever to watch. And I love Nott in Mighty Nein. So yeah, Scanlan that's my only critique. I want to know where he is. I want to see him. I miss him. But hopefully in episode 4, he will be reintroduced right off the bats. You can't make the Scanlan fans wait. We will riot in the streets, and we will do so dressed to impress and ready to rock. Like, that is just how it's going to be. So I hope that we see him soon. And that's really my only critique, because these episodes were fire. I cannot wait till next week. Honestly, I wish they dropped it all right now. Part of me doesn't, because I like having weekly discussions, but that's how much I love Vox Machina. I just want to binge it. That's all I have for this one, friends. Thank you so much for coming to hear my thoughts on the first 3 episodes. Let me know your thoughts on these episodes down in the comments below. And if you love when I talk about Dungeons and Dragons and Critical Role, please do consider clicking that subscribe button, liking the video, commenting, sharing, hyping. It all really does help, and it lets me know that you want more D&D content from me. And I love D&D. I love playing. I love talking about it. I love RPGs in general. So I would love to do more of that for you, if that's something you're interested in. I was not prepared for this chapter of Vox Machina. This act that I just watched, Act 2, it nearly broke me. Welcome back, everyone. We're here today to talk about Vox Machina Season 4, Episodes 4, 5, and 6. It was a journey, but before we get into this and discuss, I want to know, what is your comfort TV show? Because Vox Machina is one of those shows for me. I have a few, and I want to know what it is that you always come back to that makes you feel good. Makes you feel, well, I don't know if this act made me feel good. It made me feel something. All right, let's talk about what happened here. First of all, I just want to start off by saying the ending to this act was insane. I thought that, this is the second act. It was going to be, I don't know, I guess I thought it was going to be a little bit more light. There was going to be a bit more just uncovering the mystery of what's going on. Nothing crazy, but it got really crazy really quick. Now, we do start off with an episode that I feel like is great, because it just allows us to find out more about Tyrion Darrington, our new kind of member of Vox Machina, who's joining up with the crew this season. And what I loved about that is it creates a lot more depth for this character. You understanding that while Tyrion does seem like a joke character, he's got all of this stuff going on with his dad, and he thinks he knows he's his dad, but he doesn't really. And he also has potentially been treated pretty terribly his entire life. So I just felt it gave him more depth as a character, and it also helped to fully integrate him with our team, with our band of heroes. So I loved seeing that, and I love that Terry is now fully a member of the team. Also, the episode afterwards, episode 5, DeRollo's 11, or the Cobalt Soul affair, I absolutely adored. I just love a good heist episode. I think I said this when we were talking about the Mighty Nein, and the Mighty Nein has a lot of heists, but Vox Machina, every now and then we get a little heist moment, and I love that in Dungeons and Dragons. I love playing through heists. I love watching heists. I love watching how everything goes completely wrong, which is what we got here. And they also did a great little sort of homage to the classic heist vibe, or almost a bit of a 60s spy feel with our intro to that heist, and setting up what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be going through that. So that whole episode and the way it was structured, I absolutely adored. So we have one that's adding more to a character that I already love, episode 4, episode 5, giving me a heist. So that already was amazing for me. And then episode 6 came along. We Are His Blood. And prepare yourself, because that episode will destroy you. It destroyed me. I did not know that that episode was going to be so emotional, and I wish that I had known before I started on my reaction for that one, because I did not have tissues on my desk. You may notice in this video my nose might be a little red. That is because of episode 6. Why did they have to do me like that? This is only midway through the season. We got 6 more episodes to go. That makes me nervous for how this is going to end if we're already getting this emotional at the halfway point. I feel like near the end of that episode, I just cried nonstop. They pulled at every heartstring they had access to. And the other thing about this entire batch of episodes is that the music is so good. So when we go to these emotional places, whether it's a fight where we don't know what's going to happen to our characters and there's a lot of suspense, and there's perhaps also moments where we're trying to puzzle out what's going on along with our heroes, so there's intrigue, or whether it's these emotional gut punches that we get, the music is there supporting it all the way through. Not only that, but the track that we had in episode 5, I don't know if it's just called Monsta, that's playing over Pike's portion of the heist, where she's in that central sort of chamber with all of the scrolls, and as with Grog as well. That song I absolutely adored. And of course, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is definitely Sam Riegel, isn't it? I looked it up. It's Sam Riegel, everyone. Of course. All of the songs that we have that are original songs are so fun and are absolute bangers. And everything that is composed as well, in terms of the composition playing underneath scenes, is so impactful. So when I wonder, how do we maintain such quality when it comes to everything that is Vox Machina up to this point, the whole animated series, it's just been nonstop, fantastic animation. And that comes from the music. Of course, the writing is still so good here. Our actors, the voice acting is insane, and the animation. And I really do need to talk about the voice acting, because we have someone joining the cast this season. I already talked about Wayne Brady and how much I love him as Tyrion Darrington, but I also knew that Andy Serkis was going to be appearing this season vocally. And it has been revealed to me now who he is playing. And hold your horses, because we are going to get a little bit into spoilers here. So I just want to say, be prepared, because I'm going to say some things. I now know who Andy Serkis is, and I feel like they perfectly cast him as Shepherd Gideon, who, of course, we find out at the end of this episode is the head of our death cult. Of course he is. I knew as soon as he appeared on screen, as soon as I saw Gideon, as soon as I heard his voice and heard Andy Serkis and heard what kind of voice he's doing for this character, I was like, you can't trust this man. Do not trust this man. And I was right. Of course I was right. Gideon, pretending to be a nice guy, but really, you're the head of a death cult. And of course, I was thinking maybe Keyleth's mom was going to be the one that was going to be our death ninja that we're seeing. But no, it was actually Delilah Briarwood, which I had not guessed we would see again, but here we are. I feel like a lot of people are going to be coming back in this season, though, so maybe there'll be some other reveals later on of characters that we've seen before that we thought we might not see again. We shall see. But that was a pretty crazy revelation. So all of these revelations were insane at the end of the episode. I was just crying. My mind was blown. There were stars behind my eyes. It was a doozy of an act. So I am so ready to come back for Act 3. I wish I could watch it right now. That's the problem with Vox Machina. I just don't want to stop watching. I have so much fun with this show. Is that a problem? Maybe it's not a problem, actually. Maybe it's a good thing. Probably it is. But that's really all I have to say about Act 2. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you ever want to see my reactions to these episodes, you can check those out over on my Patreon, or you can check them out over here for my members as well. The full reactions are on Patreon, but we also have some reaction content for members over here. I'm sorry. What? Welcome back, everyone. I don't even know what to say. We're here to talk about Legend of Vox Machina Season 4, Episodes 7, 8, and 9. And I thought the last batch of episodes destroyed me. I don't know, I don't think you can actually see it as much in this video right now, but I cried so hard. I can still feel the tears on my eyelashes. And before we get into this, I want to know, what was the most surprising moment that you have ever witnessed in a story, whether it be something that's Critical Role related or not, whether it's Vox Machina, and feel free to let me know how you reacted to the moment at the end of this act, because wow, this batch of episodes was absolutely devastating. And that being said, we did have some good times. We start off with an episode that's pretty spooky, dealing with the ghosts of Whitestone. And then we go to an episode that's a bit bittersweet because it's our episode where we get to reconnect with Scanlan and deal with sort of how he's feeling, where he's at in his life, and deal with his party and how they're feeling, Pike and Scanlan's relationship and all of that, which I gotta say, I think Pike and Scanlan might be my favorite ship. I'm just gonna say it. Then we go to an episode that I knew was going to be a plan gone wrong because they said, we'll just do this thing and then it'll solve all of our problems. Ha 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 ha, I'm Taryon Darrington. But, of course, no, because that's never how it goes. And I know y'all got 3 episodes left, so I knew it wasn't going to go well. But I didn't think it was going to go like that. I wasn't prepared for that. And of course, by that, I mean, spoilers for this last episode, but everything with Grog, I don't know how to process. I want to do this review and talk to you about everything that I saw, but I'm still in shock, I think. So I'm still processing. I think this batch of episodes was insanely well done. It was just an emotional gut punch in some really beautiful ways and some really devastating ways. I love everything that we're building to, but I'm also a little unsure of, is there going to be a season 5? Because I feel like I don't know how we deal with the Whispered One. I don't know how we deal with, Vecna in 3 episodes, unless it's just that we're like stopping this altogether. But I feel like what's going to happen is that the Whispered One is going to come forth right at the end. We think we neutralized it, and then it's like, oh no, but you forgot about, and then boom, there he is. And then that's the end of the season. And then we go into season 5. And then maybe that's what season 5 is. Is there going to be a season 5? I need to know. Is there going to be a season 5? Yes, that will be the final season. Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because the other feelings that I get with this season, and something that I'm really loving about it so far, is that with season 4, it feels like we're really pulling back from everything that we've built up to this point. And so the storytelling is just, mwah, it's just chef's kiss, because we're getting the culmination of everything we've built up for the previous 3 seasons. And now everyone feels like they're also so powerful. So the threats we're throwing at people are absolutely insane. And some enemies they deal with super quickly, and then some enemies are just also crazy leveled. So that's where I'm just having a lot of fun with it. Just seeing Vox Machina at the top of their game and seeing what kind of threats Matt can throw at them. Obviously, The Legend of Vox Machina is based on the actual play, and I know that there's a lot of changes that they make. I know some of you have told me about some of them in the comments. I still really want to go. I want to say thank you to everyone that was telling me about what happens with Scanlan in episode 85, I think you guys were saying, of the actual play. I may have not gotten that right. I didn't write it down. I literally have no notes for this video. I am just talking off the cuff. So if I get anything wrong, you can let me know in the comments, but please don't I'm just speaking. I'm really speaking. But the episode where you were telling me that I need to watch, with Scanlan and him leaving the group and then Taryon coming in, I do want to go watch that. I think I may actually do a review or something on that when I get around to it. I'm back on my Mighty 9. actual play right now. So I'm on episode 28, which was the live performance they did, the live actual play, I guess. Well, I mean, they're all live, but the live actual play they did in person at Gen Con on the stage, on the main stage, I think they're on. Which is pretty crazy and really fun to watch. I've never seen them live, even though that year that they were at Gen Con, I was at Gen Con. I was doing other stuff. I wasn't really like watching Critical Role at the time. I was playing Dungeons and Dragons. I've been doing that for years, but I wasn't watching, and it's so fun. So I can't wait to talk to you guys more about that actual play. But I do want to check out some Vox Machina actual play as well. So if there are any other episodes that you would recommend, if I'm doing kind of just these little one-off moments right now until I have time to dive into the full campaign, which I think I want to do. It's just, you know me, I do way too many things. I have too many interests. I love too much. I love too much nerd stuff. But I just feel like this is the peak area of the campaign where everyone is so set in who they are. They've been on this whole journey. They've all had full evolutions at this point. And now it's kind of like, what else? Like, after everyone has their happy ending, what else do we have to say? And what I'm so surprised by is that they're finding so much to say and to do with these characters. I love everything they did with Scanlan. I actually am realizing, I think I love Scanlan so much. One, Sam Riegel. If you've seen any of my Critical Role actual play content, where I've been talking about that, I think it's clear I'm a big Sam Riegel fan. But the other reason that I think I love Scanlan is because I connect with him so much as a character. This idea of him feeling that everyone wants him, and yet at the same time, it's like that loneliness that you feel as a performer, as an artist, of, you know, you can be out and there can be tons of people that love you and celebrate you and love what you do. And I know I have so many amazing supporters here, just even on this platform alone, that I'm so grateful for, whether you have commented or not commented. Like, I even think when I read something negative, just how many people are thinking positive thoughts and sending them my way, but they maybe aren't commenting, because I'll be real, I don't comment on every video I watch. And so that idea of, you know, being wanted by everyone, but then still feeling like this inadequacy within yourself, like there's this hole somewhat in you. There's this feeling as though no one really gets you, and maybe you don't even know who you are. It's like really intense imposter syndrome, I feel like in some ways Scanlan is experiencing, where he's questioning, how well do my friends know me? Do they even like me? Do they even want me in their life? But then not only that, do I know who I am? And how much of this is me masking? And how much of this is me truthfully? Those are some big questions. And I feel like anyone as a performer, most performers anyways, I feel like can relate to that, because I know it's not a unique experience to people to feel that way, but how they put it into words in, you know, the Bard's Lament in that episode, I don't think I've seen art really so accurately nail what that feeling is like. And I had to listen to the entire song at the credits, Scanlan's song that he wrote. And I love that while initially he's trying to kind of find the rhythm of that song, in the end credits, it feels like kind of a sad ballad. It's really beautiful. I really love that episode a lot. I just love Scanlan and I've missed him so much. So getting to see him return here was amazing. And there's a lot of interpersonal drama happening in this act, in Act 3 of Season 4 of Vox Machina, that I'm enjoying as well. Just exploring the relationships between characters. You know, we have everything with Percy and Vex going on. We have everything with Vax and Keyleth going on. Keyleth's kind of on her own journey, and I think there is a little bit of a darkness almost in Keyleth that she is struggling with. I think there's a really intense darkness in Pike right now, dealing with the loss of her, you know, her Pop, and also Grog dealing with that loss as well and trying to be there for Pike. But Pike is just not ready to open up. She's struggling to be vulnerable. She's really lost her connection to the Everlight, and I'm really scared for her. And seeing her lose the one person who really embodied, I think, that joy in her, that light in her, losing that, I don't know what that's going to do to her moving forward. And I'm really nervous. And I'm hoping that Everlight can be there for her because she needs some guidance right now and she's going to be all alone. But maybe not, maybe somewhere in there will be a connection. And we don't really fully know what happened. I know what I saw with my eyes seems awful, seems like this is the end, but maybe not. Maybe there's something we don't know about yet, about how this all works. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know where we go from here. And then that is something that I also just love about this show. It always kind of keeps me guessing. And while I do feel like I have a sense for the overall pacing, and I think even in each episode, I noticed that the peaks of the episodes kind of happen around the same time codes, which I think is cool. But the pacing is just, it is what it needs to be for this story. And while the overall idea of where we're headed with our group of heroes here, I definitely have a sense for. I mean, this is season 4, and then we got season 5. And I think I'm right in the sense that season 5 will us be directly dealing with the threat of the Whispered One, as opposed to trying to figure out what's going on, uncovering how do we handle this. And then in the end, we'll have to deal with that. And that'll be the final season. And then a little bit of denouement. But I don't really know from episode to episode where we're going. I never would have guessed Delilah was coming back. I mean, I had ideas, but that was wild. There's so much going on here that is surprising and delightful to me and heartbreaking. And that's what later seasons are for, aren't they? Those moments where you can just destroy us, especially in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. The further you go into the story, just the more potential for your heart to be broken, because we've spent so long with these characters. I've spent years with these characters, and for the players in real time, it would have been even longer. That the impact that you feel, it's like losing, a part of yourself. It's like what Pike says to Scanlan, that idea of like, when you left, like, I didn't know who I was anymore. And even though this group of friends keeps playing with each other and they're still all friends, and they roll new characters and you continue. There is something beautiful about stories coming to their conclusion, and I can just feel all the threads converging in season 4. And I think it's going to be a really epic end to this season, and I think it's going to be a really insane end to the entire show when we get to the next season. But I can't wait to see what they do with these next 3 episodes, because I have no idea. I have no idea where we're going. And I can't wait to figure it out. Also, Terry is still an absolute delight to me. And just having an epic bard battle, I didn't know how much I needed that in my life. So thank you, Vox Machina. Thank you. That's all I really have for this one. It was really good, and I absolutely adored it. And I think this show just gets better and better as time goes on. I just finished Vox Machina Season 4. I watched the last 3 episodes, our 4th act. What was that? Welcome back, everyone. We're here to talk about The Legend of Vox Machina, episodes 10, 11, and 12. The Poisoned Ear, Let the End Begin, The Ascension. All of these episodes sent me on a roller coaster ride, and we are going to talk about it in this review. But before we get into it, I want to know, how did you feel about that season 4 finale? And what is the scariest thing you've ever had to face? In D&D or outside of D&D? Just, it can be in life. Because I think what we went up against in this finale with these 3 episodes was something that I did not think we were going to be going to. The fact that it led us to this point where everyone at the beginning is separated, then everyone comes together, and then we're dealing with the struggles of why people didn't stay connected, and this idea of the evolution of these friendships and where people get their happy endings, and then what does that mean for the party? I think that's a huge question we've approached this season, and we really deal with it in the end here. And I'm going to talk about that more in my full season review, just the entire journey of season 4. But for this review, we are going to keep it to the last 3 episodes. So let's get into that. So the Poisoned Ear is interesting because we start off with the revelation that Pike obviously is okay. Pike had the amulet, so we knew that she would probably be all right going through the portal. Grog not doing so hot, in a sort of stasis where he's in the process of coming back to life. And of course, the rest of Vox Machina, minus Scanlan, is preparing to go in and get Pike and rescue her from the Whispered One, and also potentially stop the Whispered One. But really, the main goal here is just to go get Pike. And they're willing to risk the safety of everyone to do it. And what I loved about this episode was I loved seeing just how twisted Pike gets. Just how, we have Gideon here and he's really twisting that knife. And I totally understand now why people said that Andy Serkis, they knew kind of who he was going to be based on if you've watched the actual play, which I am going to go back and watch episode 85, like you all suggested for Vox Machina. I'm still making my way through Mighty Nine, so I will have another Mighty Nine video for you soon. I'm on episode 30. It's taken me a while just because the summer is crazy. I'm doing like 1 million things right now, but I will have another Mighty Nine video for you soon. And I will also do that episode 85 reaction. For those of you that were watching Vox Machina, the actual play as it was happening, I think a lot of people knew what to expect when Andy Serkis was cast this season, knew who he was going to play, and y'all were right. And not only that, but man, he was beautifully cast. Him as Gideon / as is revealed here, the Whispered One. And if you know who the Whispered One is, then you know. I think I can say it here at this point. I think it's pretty obvious. It's Vecna. And you might be aware of Vecna from Stranger Things, or if you're a big Dungeons and Dragons nerd, then you probably just know Vecna from Dungeons and Dragons. He's a big boss. He is horrifying to face. So Vecna is absolutely terrifying, and seeing that character appear here with Gideon, with the Whispered One, I think is just, how do you escalate it after the Chroma Conclave? And I gotta say, bringing in the Whispered One, that was a smart way for Matt to elevate the story, assuming that we're following roughly where we go with Vox Machina. And I know there have been changes that we've made this season. I'll talk more about that in our full review. But for this, because, I'm coming into this without having watched the actual play, what I will say is I love how everything that we built up in this act and before it really comes to head here. There's only one thing that I wasn't so sure how I felt about it, and we kind of go into it in Let the End Begin. Episode 11 really is building towards, I guess, the confrontation that we're dealing with in the Ascension. I think both of those episodes were absolutely great. I think that the pacing of them is just fire. It's going nonstop. Once we are here and we're all together in the same place, we have our heroes see Pike. They're trying to get to her. They're trying to deal with the Whispered One's, main goons who are all special, and we're dealing with them with the daggers. And now this curse has come full circle. So now Vax is truly the champion of the matron. That's been fully realized, and we realize that the curse is a blessing in this realm. And Vax is able to use those powers to completely take out all these goons easily so they can't res, but getting rid of the Shadow Stone within them. And then we're able to take the fight to the Whispered One. Well, I mean, really, and I thought when Vax made that promise to Keyleth, where he said, you know what? I promise you that we'll just go for Pike and I won't go for the Whispered One because that is how I'm supposed to die. That is what I was told. And I promise you, Keyleth, I really thought he was going to go back on his word. Just like we saw with Vex making the promise to Percy's sister and going back on her word. I knew that was like, how do you deal with sibling fights? You tell your sibling, you know what? You're totally right. I promise I'm going to not do the thing that you don't want me to do. I'm not going to do that thing. So don't worry. You're right and we'll be good. And then behind their back, you do the thing. I knew that was going to happen, but I really thought that Vax was going to betray that promise to Keyleth and decide, no, you know what? We got to go for the Whispered One. And really, that was a decision that the whole party makes to do that in the episode The Ascension. And in The Ascension, what I loved is Pike ending up being one of our final bosses for the season. I never thought that this path we were on was going to lead us to all fight Pike, but Pike has been really in a funk this season, so I'm glad that we did something with that and that was realized. My only qualm problem with this set of episodes in terms of Pike's journey is that I think we didn't get enough of a aha moments for her realizing what she's done is wrong in allying herself with the Whispered One and deciding to turn on everybody else and turn on her friends and say, you're not my friends. I'm going to fight you, and then go back and say, no, you know what? I'm going to join you. You are my friends, and let's take on the Whispered One. I think because we see everyone leave her, and then we don't really get to see her in that moment of realization where she decides, my friends' lives are in danger, and even though we've been through a lot, and I feel not as supported in the group right now, and we haven't really fully dealt with that yet, I am going to go back in because my friends' lives on the line is the most important thing. Granted, have we kind of built that up through all of the previous seasons? We have. So it is a little bit of a nitpick. And I mean, I still felt so much emotion in these episodes. Like I said, tear stains on my bodysuit were real. I cried a lot. I had my tissues here. The reactions, if you want to see me cry in real time, will be coming to my members on the channel, and the full reactions will be up on my Patreon, patreon.com/vampex13. So you can see me cry in real time. I did feel a lot of it, but I just wish that we had a little bit more for Pike because everything else we've built up is so strong. That being said, the actual fight itself I thought was epic. The animation in these episodes, amazing. The theme coming in, the Vox Machina theme coming in when they're fighting against the Whispered One. And then when I think I know where this show is going, I realize I know nothing. I predict all of these things and I think, oh, I know how they're setting this up and I know how this is going to go. And I guess we don't need that vial that Keyleth made to cure Vax. I guess none of that's going to lead anywhere. Well, that was kind of a waste of our time, wasn't it? Nope. Everything matters, and everything you think you know, you don't. And guess what? It doesn't end the way that you would think it would. And actually, I feel like the ending of season 4 reminds me a lot of the ending of season 1, where I thought I knew where we were going. And then at the end, there's this kind of like little bait and switch of the heroes save the day. Maybe they don't save the day. And where does that lead us next? With this idea of Vecna saying to them in front of the world, broadcasting this to everyone through Exandria, you now have played right into my plan. I have been planning this for 500 years. So if you don't think that I had a plan that was foolproof, you're mistaken. Everything that you have done has led to this moment, has led me here. And I had many different options for how I could have arrived at this place. You surprised me a little with how we got here, but this was all according to my plan. And now that you've cured Vax, Vax does not have the power to stop me. He is no longer the matron's champion. We have broken that connection. And in saving Vax and in saving Pike, and with Pike going to save Grog, this group of heroes and their connection to each other is ultimately what condemns them, what condemns Exandria to now having Vecna appear. The Whispered One is here. And I think that all of that is so cool. When it's all explained, how the fact that they all had their happy endings, that was a problem for the Whispered One, and they had to bring them all back together. I just thought, wow, everything that I thought I knew about what was going on this season, I never expected that. I'm going to be real. I never expected that. And not only that, but now we have this situation where they're being offered the choice. Do they bow to the Whispered One or do they fight? And if they don't bow, Vax's life is at stake. And Keyleth folds almost immediately. And that hit me right in the gut. Because I know this whole season she's just been working to save this man that she loves. And she finally gets there. And it's finally come to pass that she's saved him. He's fine. And now at the end of the season, she's being asked to sacrifice her love for the greater good, and she can't do it. It's taken too much out of her to fight for Vax's life. And then, of course, the rest of the party feeling for Keyleth and also loving Vax fold too, which I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was seeing my heroes kneel to the Whispered One. And then it's up to Vax to respond. And I have to say, I think that's the most Liam response I could have imagined. I think Vax responded exactly how I would have predicted, but I never would have predicted that we were in this predicament to begin with. So that was the whole thing that threw me for a loop. But Vax, of course, spitting in the Whispered One's face and telling him to take a walk, basically. I'm not having any of it, which leads to his own death, which means now here we are. But then I also don't understand, because it seems like the Whispered One just dipped. So, and is like, well, you saved the day. And I was like, wait, so if they just said, we're not interested, the consequence is you kill Vax, but you're going to leave? I don't think that's what's happening. I think season 5 is going to be us really dealing with the ramifications of everything that was built in season 4, which I cannot wait to see. And I think it's going to be amazing. But that ending did confuse me a little bit. And I don't know if I'm dumb. Let me know in the comments if I missed something there, or am I interpreting it right, that this just means that in this moment they win, but, you know, there's still a bigger battle to come when it comes to dealing with Vecna now being unleashed and fully ascended. And the fact that, you know, the body of Gideon had to die to fully unleash what he was, I think is really cool. And I just love the drama of how it all ended. Man, it was a ride. And I had a great time. I think that was a perfect finale for season 4. Like I said, it captured the magic for me of the finale of season 1. And it just reminded me how much I really love this show. I can't wait to talk about the full season, because this season was something else. And there's a lot that we need to discuss in terms of where I think it's setting us up for season 5, and just kind of where we've been with our characters this season, and what I liked and what I didn't like, because I have feelings on both sides. And I also want to talk about some of the changes they made, which some of you and I have been discussing in the comments. So keep that coming. If you are an OG critter, I love to hear your thoughts on the actual play. I do want to go through and watch Vox Machina at some point, but I do need to finish Mighty 9 first. So it might take me a while, just because I do so many things. But I'm sure you will be patient, and hopefully you'll be here for it. If you're not already subscribed, why not consider hitting that subscribe so you don't miss any of my other Critical Role Dungeons & Dragons content. I love making it for you. Season 4 of Vox Machina is officially in the bag. So with one last season to go, the question remains, how did we do, and where do we go from here? Welcome back, everyone. We are here today to talk about Vox Machina, The Legend of Vox Machina, Season 4. I just finished it. I did my finale review, and so now it's time for us to talk about the season at large. Before we get into it, I want to know, what does Vox Machina have to do, in your opinion, to stick the final landing for the finale? Because we've already had 2 shows now that are building towards a series finale involving Vecna, and my goodness, one of those at least needs to be a banger. You know what I mean? I mean, we had Stranger Things, but I feel like they dropped the ball, whereas Vox Machina has been nonstop going down that hill, just building up this boulder so that it's going to be an amazing smash finale. I hope that's true. My fingers, my toes are crossed, but I have faith after watching season 4, and I'm going to tell you why in this video. But don't worry, we're also going to talk about some things that I think were questionable and that I've had some time to reflect on, and I think I know maybe where we went wrong with a few things in the season. But first off, let's start with the beginning, because I think we need to ask ourselves, what happens after happily ever after? That's kind of what season 4 is about. And I thought after the end of season 3, I thought, how do you even continue this show? We really wrapped everything up. We just had the Chroma Conclave that we took down. I mean, how do you top that? How do you top not just one dragon, but a whole collection of dragons? And what I love about season 4 is when we start off with our heroes, it really does feel like everyone is in this very secure place with their characters. They really are all max level. You know, clearly Pike is going through some stuff and Scanlan isn't here. So there is a little bit of some loose threads, but for the most part, it feels like we've come full circle. So what more do you do here? What more do you say? And what I love about this season is that it feels like everything is actually built to this place that we're at the beginning of season 4 and throughout it. And anything that was left unresolved, any little bit of baggage that we have, we are packing that up to make sure that we deal with it before we wrap up this story with our heroes. And that's what season 4, I think, is all about. It's about addressing the things that are left unspoken, and it's about examining, when you do get your happily ever after, then what? What's next? And the fact that our heroes are also splintered at the beginning of this season and have to find their way back to each other is a part of what I think we need to resolve. You know, these are people that fought together, that are supposed to be these amazing friends, and yet at the beginning they're so disconnected from each other. Granted, this is a world where we don't have cell phones. I mean, you could probably send a message, but there's a range on that, so you can't send it too far. I don't know how far you can max out your message spell in D&D, but I can't imagine it's like across a world. I don't know. Also, if you're wondering, you know, everything building to this, and I'm talking about all of that, and just all of the beauty of how the previous seasons led us to where we are here, don't worry, we are going to talk about Pike. We're going to talk about that because I do have some thoughts on Pike's journey this season. But before we get to that, I do want to acknowledge that not only are we bringing back a lot of the elements from the earlier seasons from Vox Machina to make season 4 feel impactful and to make it feel like the momentum is really carrying forward with our story, but there are also little Easter eggs here from other campaigns as well. So when we're doing world building in Exandria, we're not just doing the world building of Vox Machina, we are doing the world building, laying the groundwork for other campaigns. There's some stuff from campaign 3 here. Marisha's character, I believe, is in here, which I think is amazing. I haven't seen any of the campaign 3 stuff yet. I know it's weird, and I might have to watch it after Mighty 9, but I'm working on that actual play right now. Although I do want to go back and check out some Vox Machina stuff. You all have recommended episode 85 to me, so stay tuned for more Critical Role content, because all of that will be coming on the channel. But the world building, I thought in this season, we really leveled that up. And that's not the only thing that we leveled up this season. Oh, no, 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 no. You thought the story was just being leveled up? Oh, you sweet summer child. The animation is absolutely insane. When I was watching the last 3 episodes, there's one episode that just starts with smoke in the sky. And I was like, this is just smoke in the sky. And it looks so good. It looks better than so many other shows. The animation is crazy. I think they did a really great job with it this season, and I've loved seeing it constantly get more and more polished and refined and detailed as we go through. It's so expressive, and we also have some different styles of animation here. We have Grog's amazing catch-up song, which I love that they just incorporated that into the show, because let's be honest, we all didn't go and watch the first 3 seasons right before watching season 4 of Vox Machina, and it's been a minute. It's nice to have a little recap. Now, granted, maybe some of you did. I know I want to go back and watch all 3 earlier seasons and do reactions to those, so hopefully I'll have that content for you soon. But it's hard. It's hard to find the time. Even when it's your job, it's hard to find the time. So I imagine that's been challenging for everybody. The music was also leveled up this season. Speaking of Grog's recap song, I think all of the songs in this soundtrack are absolute bangers. And what's wild to me, I don't know, I don't think this has ever happened to me with Vox Machina before season 4, but season 4 is a soundtrack that I would go back and I would just listen to the album of it. I will be walking around this summer, and if you ever see me with my headphones in, out in the world, there's a good chance I'll be listening to Vox Machina on those headphones. We are living in a time where I feel like there's so many soundtracks right now that I'm just absolutely adoring, and Vox Machina Season 4 has been added to my list. And that is in terms of the music that we have for the scenes that is instrumental music. It's also in terms of the original songs that we have from Sam Riegel, which I think are all absolutely amazing. I mean, Monsta, that song, it was stuck in my head after I watched that episode the entire week. And I even love everything we got in the Bard's Lament as well in terms of the music. I love Scanlan's song. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful little ballad. It's really sweet. Also, I know there was no Scanlan in this season, but I have to say, the Bard's Lament is still my favorite episode from the season. And when we did get Scanlan, they really delivered. And the benefit of this season is that even though we don't have Scanlan, we of course have Tyrion Darrington, who's played by Wayne Brady in the show, but in the campaign was voiced by Sam Riegel. He was the one that played Tyrion, stepping in to replace his own character, Scanlan, which is why I want to watch that episode 85 that you all have recommended to me. And I have to say that the Scanlan stuff we got was so good that it made me, as a Scanlan fan, feel satisfied, even though he was very absent from the season. And Tyrion, I love Tyrion. No surprise there, a character that Sam Riegel himself created and that Wayne Brady really made his own. I thought he did an amazing job voicing him. And I love both of those characters, so at least we had Tyrion and Dodi as our kind of stand-ins for Scanlan. I thought that was perfect. Also, I just love Tyrion with all his gems. What a weird and cool character, a human artificer. It makes me want to play an artificer. Should I play an artificer in my next D&D campaign? Because I might be starting one soon with some friends. I might be starting one soon. Honestly, we should do one on the channel, and we should record it at some point. That would be so fun. I guess when it comes to season 4, the question is, how do you elevate the stakes? Because we did come from the Chroma Conclave, and what I think they've done that's really smart, the more that I think about the way that this show wrapped, the more I can appreciate what they were doing with the story here. And while I know there are differences from the campaign, and obviously I haven't watched the Vox Machina actual play, so I can't really comment as much on that. When we get back to Mighty 9, because I've been watching that, I will have more comparison notes. But for Vox Machina, I'm just watching the show right now. So y'all have told me about some of the changes, and I acknowledge that some of them sound like they work better than others. But what I appreciate about this show is that it's really letting itself do its own thing. And you know, the actual play still exists. We can always go back and watch that. So doing something different with the story in the show, I think just adds to what we have here in terms of the world. And it allows our writers, it allows our creators to go back and look at everything that we've had in the campaign and in multiple campaigns, and then say, you know, how do we want to adjust this to make a more cohesive story that's less improvised, where we're taking all of the pieces that we love and trying to figure out how do those work in a cohesive narrative that is an animated television series. And I think when it comes to the end of our show here with our finale and Pike switching sides, something that we also need to consider is everywhere that we've been before. Because when Pike is offered that choice by the Whispered One, I know that it's personal because there's Grog and there's Pop Pop, and those are people that she wants to bring back. But it's not just about those characters. This is about everyone we've lost along the journey, and Pike is also being offered this ability to bring back anyone that they've lost before. This is, we're gonna get rid of death, so you'll be safe, your friends will be safe, this won't happen to other people, and also, you know, all those people you lost along the way, what if I could give them back to you? Which I think is a huge offer. And considering that Pike is in a place where she is in this crisis of faith and has been for some time and has been struggling with that, and has been struggling with, you know, that disconnect from the Everlight and struggling with the disconnect from her friends, I think it makes sense that she made the choice that she did. So for Pike, there's a lot to consider there, and I can understand why she turned face. Now, did the show do a great job of capturing everything that I just laid out for you and making that super clear for the character and why she made the choice? I think we could have gotten a little bit more in terms of what they built in the show, and I do think we needed a little bit more when it came to Pike going from I'm going to fight my friends to I'm going to join my friends again. I do think that happened a little too quickly, and we just didn't get enough of a moment with Pike to understand that. And I know some people are just annoyed that this season was so Pike focused and that it feels like this is all kind of coming out of nowhere. But I think if you go back to the beginning of the show and you were to watch it through to this point now, to the end of season 4, you will see what they've been building for Pike, because I really do believe that it's there. And I'm very excited to go back and watch all of the earlier seasons and see this build up to season 4 and see if I'm right about that. But it does feel to me like we've been building a lot of what we saw with Pike in this season since the beginning of the show. And a lot of what we've been building in general since the beginning of the show has been built. And having someone like Vecna come in at the end, played by Andy Serkis, who does an amazing job, by the way. I love Andy Serkis. He is such an amazing actor. He's got such a great voice. And I know that Matt had joked in the campaign. Someone was telling me in the comments that he had made the joke of, you know, if we have Vecna, if we had an animated show, I'd love for Mark Hamill to play him. Or maybe it wasn't a joke. It probably was just a legitimate wish. So we don't have Mark Hamill here, but I do think Andy Serkis is more than an amazing consolation prize for us, because dang does he play a good Vecna. And he is so good at playing that character that you want to like with Gideon. But of course, as soon as I heard Andy Serkis' voice, I was suspicious. I figured with someone like Andy Serkis, if we don't know who he's playing, it probably is someone super bad. And that was the case. Also, playing a priest. And I don't know, for some reason, I'm always a little nervous about that. The only priest that I really like in any series is Ethelstan from Vikings. I love him. So I think we did a great job having Vecna show up here, but also connecting Vecna back to the beginning of our story. And not just to the story, but to the party. You know, the whole reason that Vecna is able to return is because of Vox Machina. They were integral to his plan. And I don't know if that's how it went in the actual play. I haven't watched it, like I said, but I think that that is a great choice for them to make in this story, of saying, you know, every place that you've been, Tyrion bringing you back together, all of that was me. I've been plotting for 500 years. I've had multiple contingencies. You were all part of this, and you think you're in control of your fate, but you're not. And I think what a beautiful place to put Vox Machina in at the end of season 4, where a lot of what the story feels like it's been about is this idea of the threads of fate and how they kind of connect people, especially with everything that Vax has been through with the matron. So that felt really good. It felt like we were making Vecna personal. And granted, I know this is not Vecna in the traditional sense of Dungeons and Dragons. This is our own version of Vecna for this world, for Exandria, for Critical Role. But what I love about what they've done with Vecna here is that they have made him so personal. It's so intentional. And that's where I think Stranger Things really went wrong with Vecna, because we built up some stuff with Henry. We built up some cool things to make Vecna personal. And then we just kind of like forgot about it, it felt, at the end of the show. Whereas this feels like we're really weaving all of that in. So when we get to that finale, everything feels meaningful. Like we've been building to this moment, and it feels satisfying. And that's why I loved season 4. So ultimately, I loved it. I do have a few little nitpicks, but overall, I think it was such an amazing season. And I think it's actually my favorite season since season 1. So, wow. That's all I have for this one. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Let me know your thoughts on season 4 down in the comments below. Let's discuss. I'll see you in the next one. And until next time, friends, as always, stay nerdy. Bye! And if you love when I talk about Critical Role, don't worry, we're going to be doing more of that here, and you can check out more of that content over here.